narrative or storytelling. We call it discourse monologue. Now, information structure and discourse markers. It's also an option for lexical discourse markers to have other types of pitch accent. The speaker intends them to participate. Now, if he wants them to participate in the information structure of the discourse, previously we know that these discourse markers can be intensified, or let me say highlighted by the speaker just to do a function. Now, discourse markers O and WAL are likely to interact with the ideational structure. They are part of the ideational structure or information structure. We find cases like the following, wherein two instances of the marker have H star. It means high star pitch accent. By the way, I'm just shedding light on briefly on the transcription system made by Per Humbert. All of us need a revision rapid review for knowing or acknowledging the intonation system. High start means that there is something paving the way. H starts with low. I mean, there is low before getting this in terms of a pitch accent to be contour tone. Let's read this example. T and M. T stands that day, and just about, oh God, maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, it was the triple whammy, worm. Really? Yeah, MBS. So here what happens? The conversation centers on T having consumed contaminated beverage in Nepal. So this is, poisonous, or it's affected by parasite. Here, it's surprising. It means that the hearer is shocked. What happens here? O is associated twice with high pitch. Wants to share something, and the hearer gets the idea. Both say, oh God. It means that of what of information, where speakers shift their stance with respect to the flow of ideas. So we've got flow of ideas to the listener, and the listener gets the idea, and by hesitating in part that's in such a way. This shift can include affective aspect. Now we've got affective aspect in line 3. It's going to present a story, and the hearer, the listener, is going to be have more to do with the integration of the new information to the story, as in line 4, or maybe 2. That's a brief memory. Let me say it's he wants to conduct a brief memory research prior to the contribution information. Again, we've got reaction from M as a listener, and then phonetic features of discourse markers. Here, the phonetic features that combine various uses of the discourse marker. By the way, the discourse marker is investigated a lot. There is a classical TV talk show, we call it classical movie. It's a serial number. It's called I Love Lucy. It's a classical one. Lucy is very distinctive actress. She used to say, oh, whenever she whenever she encounters a surprise, whenever she receives guests, whenever she wants to present new information, whenever she is disappointed, whenever she's excited, let me say, whenever she says, I want to receive some visitors today, she says, oh, that's very compelling. Oh, I want. So O can be tackled from different perspectives. I mean, according to Lucy, so O can never be interpreted in one way. So, by the way, it's irrelevant if we tackle O in isolation. There are prominent figures writing in this topic. I mean, prominent researchers like Brown et al., if you are interested to check them, Cooper, Coleman, Crittenden, Brazil, and Joan Crystal. And among the prominent ones are Wennerstrom, Per Hamperd, and Hirschberg. So local describes O as a marker occurring at new forming completion points. So here O, it works as a marker occurring as a new what? At new forming or completion points. The most and rather long in duration with initial glottal closure, diphthongization, and creaky voice. Let's revise the cluster of phonetic features. They are somehow, I mean, O is somehow rhythmic, rather long in duration with initial glottal closure. It's associated with a creaky voice, diphthongization. Full pitch boundary, it means that's the end of the tone. It means that that's the end of the tone, and the if he wants to present something new, I mean topic shift, it works in both, let me say, parts, in both. Was a freestanding or followed by additional components offered in response to question versus statement or utter in surprise. Phonetic features. Of course, for question, as answer to question tends to be lowered as a statement top falling. Phonetic features and discourse markers. Once again, the same correspondence between highest intonation, it's called TOBI system, and ideational value can serve to distinguish adverbs from lexical discourse of particular prosodic feature, I mean prosodic particular additional value can serve to distinguish adverbs from lexical discourse markers. Of course, adverbs carry the because they are didactic or part of the sentence organization. In which sense? I mean, you know, or sorry, now it means that there is adverb and tends to occur finally, but when we have discourse markers, we have it initially or in topic structure between two parts at the terminal of the talk and the outset of the next term. It's not in the full sense of the word. It's continuation of the statement presented by the speaker himself. Shifting distinguishes didactic now and the adverb of time. It's the adverb of time. Of course, it's part of didactic expression. This didactic now, the adverb of time, from now, the discourse marker of continuation. So now it's used as a means of continuation, in that the former has tonic structure. We call it now as a discourse marker can never has tonic stress and high pitch, but now as didactic expression, I mean didactic, the adverb of time, it can be tonic stress. Tonic stress as part of intonational phrase, of course. Now, let's tackle pitch boundary and discourse markers. The pitch boundaries of the marker, an utterance final position can be described as rising intonation conventionally. Okay, right, conventionally signals that speaker has not yet completed an information unit. It's what? It's used with interrogatives, incomplete propositions. As we saw earlier, rising, solicits what? Solicits speakers. Solicits hearers' recognition of particular piece of information. So, to solicit his listener that he has something to complete or just to by just to tell him or solicit the hearer that we've got something in common. Seen the girl, next to that lane, okay, depends on that information rather than needed information. Not retrieving the needed information only, he is just hearer that of course. It's supposed that the listener gets the idea. Following intonation, on the other hand, conveys speaker Haitian unit. Now, pragmatic difference in speaker's continuity about hearer's knowledge. That to say, to which a speaker is shared. Now, let's acknowledge what's meant by paratone as a discourse marker. Here, the focus will be on the relationship between prosody itself and organizational structure. It's the hallmark of this symposium. So I'm going to highlight the relationship between prosody itself and organizational structure. Let's know what's meant by paratone firstly. The paratone is the prosodic equivalent of a written paragraph whereby let me say between topical constituents to indicate the relationships among those topics. So it looks like a paragraph. It's not limited with particular length. It carries many transitional parts and continuation. It's stated in interrupted by the listener. No, it's equivalent to a written paragraph where speakers manipulate what pitch, volume, tempo, encounter these items in the practical perspective. I mean, in written conversation. And I'm going to read them. The speech paragraph or paratone, like the orthographic paragraph, which is identified by its boundary, steady stream. At the beginning of paratone, the speaker typically uses an introductory expression. Is no more used. It's presented originally by Brown and Newell. Recently, Schifrin and Crittenden altered the use of introductory expressions into what paratone. This introductory expressions made phonologic there is no need for introductory expression because it's highlighted by prosodic features and using, let me see, for raised pitch, we call it pitch accent, high star, I mean high pitch. So this, the beginning of a we start with a high paratone and let me say end with a very low pitch loss of amplitude. I mean intensity, because loudness is part of auditory or perceptual categories. Marker. It's not lexical discourse marker. Its phonological unit can be highlighted by the speaker. I'm just repeating. Can be shown natural speech, can be shown in natural speech from conversational monologue or interactional speech. Of course, speech. It's no more called conversational speech. It's conversational monologue or interactional speech. What's meant write something, whether scientific, literary, whatever the topic I am talking about, it's relevant to some idea can never be interpreted correctly by the listeners without intensifying, let me say, some parts, some slots in my speech. I want to highlight some points to the listeners, if I'm talking to another partner, I mean, so let me complete the 4 points here. Relevant to paratone as discourse marker. It's possible to call paratone as a discourse marker. It's an element of text prosodic in this case. Discourse level. We can never break the components of the discourse without highlighting these prosodic, let me say, discourse markers. So examples in which the introductory expression by many linguists like Brown and Yule's definition need not speaker's role. I mean, these prosodic features play the major role in highlighting the topic shift. Now we've got topic shift. Going to present something and get rid of the let me say the first part, and I want to shift to the main point. So I have to use this discourse marker flavored with the prosodic features to have or signal the topic shift. Now, high paratones. The association between intonation and topic structure has been noted by numerous other researchers. There is an expansion of the speaker's pitch range the end of an utterance reflects its finality in discourse organization. So we have to signal that these discourse markers work to bracket or arrange discourse structure or discourse organization, whether the beginning or the end, or even topic shift. Whether other prosodic features may also be involved with topic shift. Final lengthening, laryngealization, creaky voice occur at the ends of topic shifts. What's meant by creaky voice? It's It's a kind of F0, I mean, it's characterized by a very low pitch accent. It can never be compared with other tonic syllables. So we call them creaky voiced syllables. They tend to occur at the end of topic units, and they are characterized by a very low pitch. In a conversational monologue, Brown et al. Identified, that's of course 1980, identified topic pause that ranged from 1.0 to 1.8 seconds. Of course, the topic pause is not intended to, let me clarify this point, is not intended to be occupied by the listener, I mean the next speaker. You know, the speaker himself is a listener, and the listener himself is a speaker. So he's waiting for his chance to interrupt. So topic pause is not intended to leave the tone, I mean. And we'll see this with examples. Likewise, in data from public speaking, Sandstrom 1986 found that long unfilled pauses characterize topic transitions. They are long unfilled pauses. Now let's have examples of high paratone. To illustrate the high paratone, let's have illustration of the high paratone. Consider an example from the lecture that's organized around, for example, major topic transition between the first and second graph. Let's see them together. The high paratones and topic shift. Observe the line 11. Watch line 11. It's characterized by pitch accent. What's meant by pitch accent means that high pitch tone. Okay, what can we see? When you make a plot of two variables, when you want to do it, stand back away from your plot and look at its basic shape. When I look at this plot, I see a cloud of points that's basically oval in shape, with the oval pointing from lower left to the upper right. That means to me that ducks that had a higher plumage rating tended also to have a higher behavioral rating. Ducks that had a lower plumage rating tended also to have a lower behavioral rating. Let's skip for now on to the next plot, the plot that's labeled demographics on your handout. I'm not going to complete this excerpt. It's actually extract because I'm highlighting. Let's skip for now onto the next plot. Let's skip for right now onto the next plot. It's uttered by the speaker as a form of topic shift, just to raise or attract attention to the topic shift in this position. Now it's what, 2.1. That's duration in seconds. Now let's see the acoustic perspective. That's a graph relevant to the it's relevant to the measurement of the pitch of this excerpt. I mean this topic shift, I mean transition. This figure shows the transition from the final utterance of the first paragraph to the initial like this, low plus high start lower. Let me complete this and let's have illustration on this figure. From the figure, we can see that the pitch range of the speaker, she is a woman, by the way, and women are characterized as having a larger, higher pitch and stronger intensity, intensity and higher pitch. It's okay, is expanded at the topic change. It's expanded whenever we have topic change. The pitch maximum in the final utterance of the first topic is 398 hertz, and the pitch maximum of initial utterance of the second is what? Watch the difference. 398 hertz, the end of the first structure of the first structure. When we shift to the next topic shift, the pitch maximum of initial utterance of the second is what? 434 hertz. Now the pitch of the speaker is raised. is raised in the topic shift. This difference occurs even though the utterance prior to the topic shift contains contrast on the word lower with low plus high star pitch accent. Now we have pitch accent whenever we have topic shift. The lecturer associates the high paratone with the shift to the new topic. Now let's have this. It's really higher. It starts with low and suddenly raised as being pitch accent, high star, and then lowered. It reaches the peak within 434 hertz. All of you are acquainted enough with hertz. It's a means for measuring frequency of the speaker, pitch as auditory feature. Low paratones. Again, we've known what's meant by high paratone whenever we have transition between two utterances. They are actually one, but the speaker turns to a high tone just to highlight his point, to go back to the original notion and just to stand for just to state the topic shift in his conversational discourse. Let me complete what's meant by low paratones. Again, low paratones can work as discourse markers, not only high paratone. Although the high version of the paratone as a topic shift is most noticeable and dramatic, there is also evidence to the low tone. Okay, there is low paratone. This low paratone is not intended to make dramatic or shift in topics, but it's defined as compressed pitch range associated with the onset constituents that are subordinate or tangential. Okay, they are tangential to the main topic. They are subordinate to the original or to the main topic. If they are tangential, it means that they work as subordinate. One characteristic use of the low power site is an association with parentheticals. In a speech, we've got many parenthetical cues, so it can be characterized as being low ones. I mean low paratone, low tone. It's identified by class O contour for outside the class. They are outside of this structural organization, which can associate with parenthetical materials such as vocatives, epithets, certain tag questions, expletives, and sentence adverbials. In semantic terms, the contour contains material that doesn't seem to contribute to the truth value of the sentence, so this must be highlighted. It doesn't contribute to the truth value of the sentence. That's the full sense of low paratone. This contour is characterized as having low onset and optional. It's really optional. It's actually optional rising pitch boundary at the end. By the way, what's meant by pitch boundary? Pitch boundary tend to occur, pitch boundary tends to occur at the end of the paratone. So the speaker wants to complete his tone and makes transition to, or paves the way for further interruption or smooth transition of conversation by the listeners. He wants to make low onset that occurs frequently at the end of the tone. So pitch boundary is characterized as low, a mark like 100. Let's know or acknowledge what are these marks. We call them symbols. So then resume the main thread of talk at the higher point in their pitch ranges. So speakers lower their pitch for a ranges. So what happens here when we have a side? It means that we need to lower our voice, lower our tone. There is also a further prosodic distinction. The rate of speech increased during these inserted segments of talk. So the rate is increased, but we've got a lowered pitch for sides. Let's know what's meant by these asides. Here, interlocutors appear to be sensitive to speakers' intention to insert parenthetical segments that generally didn't attempt what indicating that they did not confuse the associated cues with those of tone relinquishment again. And resonant one. If I want to lower my pitch, doesn't mean that I'm going to pay to what? To make a side, to make a comment, to make something that can be shared or are, let me say, acquainted enough by the speaker and listener. They know that it's not the time with those of tone relinquishment. Now let's have examples beyond the single intonational phrase. Low paratones can extend to several phrases, as long as the material is subordinate to the main organization of the text. The following illustration drawn from oral narrative demonstrates an organizational shift of gears treated prosodically as a low paratone. Now we have illustration from oral narrative. The speaker is an adult American man. He is a graduate student in a discourse analysis class where participants, this discourse analysis class, there is a project required, or it's a must, it's obligatory task for discourse analysis class, and the participants or the learners have to present an assignment where participants have been asked to tell personal narratives about their lives as part of an assignment. By the way, I like this way of presenting assignments and can be taken into consideration whenever we teach our students how to express, how to talk. It's a procedure.
عفوا
just
دكتورة
أهلا
هديل.
أستاذ محمد. نعم أسمعك
أعتذر
أستاذ.
دكتورة، أعتذر عن المقاطعة، بس عندي يعني ندوة ثانية بالتسعة، فإنه يا ريت إنه
تمام
تختصرين على قدر الإمكان حتى يعني ندخل
تمام أستاذ
بالمحاضرة
محمد.
الثانية.
ممنونة
بارك
أنا
الله
ما
فيك.
انتبهت فعلا للوقت، مع العلم مخليه يمي ساعة. أستاذ محمد
الله
راح
يهنيك.
أنتقل للأمثلة وأنتقل للاستنتاجات، وبارك الله بكم.
شكرا، بارك الله فيك.
بكم يبارك الله. Okay, let me shift to some examples because we don't have enough time. By the way, I'm going to complete this symposium just to make it to give illustration and further extension of these examples, but I don't have enough time right now. Let's see this corpus, the pitch range and volume drop as one perceives the problem with the tape recorder. When he perceives a problem with tape recorder, he wants to say something, but when he shifts to his original topic, he I think mistake my parents made was that they thought I was too good of a kid. That thing shooting way up there. Sorry, I don't know if it's loud enough or not. They thought I was too good of a kid. Okay, when he goes back to his original idea, he raised his tone. Whenever we've got something aside, for example, sorry, I don't know if it's loud enough or not. He resumes his own message. The shift is not only one of topic, but also one of the axes from the past world of the story into the present world of classroom and back again. And back again, and of the genre from the assigned storytelling task to the conversation I'm not going to illustrate more because it takes much time. I have skipped 3 slides. It's a case study of anyway. I'm going to clarify a case study of anyway. They are actually subtypes and resumptive. Okay, there is a case study of anyway that can be highlighted as a discourse marker. The first three. Anyway, 3 is a discourse marker, but this method, you know, that can work as additive just to add information. The first type is additive anyway, semantically equivalent to besides. Okay, besides. It means besides. The second type is dismissive anyway too, semantically equivalent to nonetheless. Example, it was ugly, but he wanted to buy the dog anyway. It was ugly, but he wanted to buy the dog anyway, nevertheless. Okay, and the third type is resumptive anyway 3, discourse marker that reconnects the utterances to chunks of discourse. Now we have this point. It works side by side by other parts, but it's not part of them. It's just a continuation part. It reconnects the utterances to chunks of discourse. He drove to the dealership. He'd always wanted a Jag. I think I heard the noise. Anyway, he decided to buy a new one. It means discourse marker. Here, the third type is a discourse marker. In addition to word position, by the way, when it occurs at the end, it functions as ideational function syntactically. But when it works as it's part of adverbial part when it occurs, it's part of the adverbial section when it occurs, section when it occurs finally, but when it occurs in between, I mean connection between 2 parts, it works as additional cue for information. Adverbial uses of anyway 2 alongside anyway 3, the discourse marker clearly underscore the need for general understanding of the role of anyway discourse. How do listeners know the difference? Here lies the point. How can I know the differences? Of course, syntactic position is one cue because of the discourse marker always comes in initial position. Sorry, I have mistakenly stated that finally. No, discourse marker always comes in initial position. I have actually stated that. No, the discourse markers adverbs, but there are additional cues of an acoustic nature. So let's seek acoustic cues. I have skipped were visible. The first, anyway, shows a flat of level of intonation contour with the value for 2 men maintained a steady level of the first anyway that occurs at the end, and it's part of the adverbial form. It's a fluctuation of 11 hertz between this pattern may be represented by low and low, low start, low. Intended to show that this is what adverbial. And the second one, it's slow anyway. The second one is also a gentle rise followed by a gentle slope down. The average drop in value for man average. By the way, it's across subjects. It's not one speaker. That's why we have average height and the average low 93, typical contour 129 to 101 hertz. Can represent And then the final one is sloping. What, in which sense? The pitch contour at any way 3 is very distinct rising by what? It reaches 181 hertz followed by a very low average drop of 57. It means tone boundary. This is the tone boundary. It means that the speaker wants to connect something. It is just continuation. I'm telling that this is assumptive. That and conclusions because I don't have enough time. Thank you for listening. I know I was fast. A lot next days, believe me. I have next lecture series for a transcription analysis according to per hampered. It's not traditional style, by the way. Thank you so much. Thanks for الأستاذ محمد.
شكرا جزيلا، بارك الله فيك دكتورة هديل، بارك الله فيك.